the financial system, the way that we have become materialists, the way that it's just not going to work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met Sandra, it was like, oh, the shift. And we have actually talked, she didn't speak too much about it, but an actual change that is happening to our planet as a result of planetary alignments and things like this. Now, there's a lot of people talking about this. And I actually saw a NOVA program about a year or two ago. It's called The Earth's Shield, and it's on YouTube. And it's about how the magnetic pole of the Earth is actually wandering from the axis, causing things to come into our environment that weren't here before. And I think it's happening not only on Earth, but on Mars and other planets in our solar system. And this can actually change the water we swim in, basically,
Mm-hmm.
that we tend to ignore. Like there's, and maybe this is how these shifts happen. We look at the rise and fall of civilizations. We look at all of the things that are happening on this earth, and we think that they're all accidents, but maybe there's something going on magnetically, energetically, the energy from the sun, which
Mm-hmm.
is literally causing climatary change now. And I don't think it has a whole lot to do with, us burning up gasoline and things like that. I think it's more like the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
We have called this into being from a collective consciousness level, though. Everything is happening exactly as it should. So it's because we are evolving as a species and we are moving to the next stage. And these are physical manifestations that are helping us to evolve from a collective consciousness level. Again, from within forms without. So, and that's why it's so important to look at our fear and start to eradicate fear so that we can understand this from a unity consciousness standpoint and understand that we are bringing this into being. We have agreed to do this, and we agreed to do this before we got here because we want to be here at this time. This is an incredible time to be alive. This is probably the most incredible time of humanity's existence to be alive, to be witness, to bear witness to this, and to actually bear witness to this kind of change, and to actually change our cellular structure and our molecular structure so that we raise our vibration through allowing more light in by eradicating fear, so that we can orchestrate these kinds of changes. That's how powerful we are. We are bringing this into being. So let's not take a victim approach here. We are calling this because we're ready. As a mass collective consciousness, we're ready to say, okay, we've moved from the agriculture or the caveman days, agricultural age, to the industrial age, to the information age. Now we're moving to the spiritual age. And it's an incredible, incredible place to be. So
that's why there's so many people on the planet now, right? Because everybody's piling onto the planet just in time for the fireworks.
Everybody wants to be here. This is the show, guys. Everybody wants to be here. Yeah, I think so. I agree.
So
with that.
now there's real fear. There's a lot of fear out there. Fear about environmental problems. Fear about 2012. Fear about everything, right?
I love the way you go into this different tone when you say 2012.
It's because it's so awesome.
It's true. You know what? People who are in fear are people who believe in their identity. Those are the people who, as Michael alluded to, talk about the materialism and the structure, the material structure. Anything that promotes us as separate beings.
And that's what, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that what in A Course in Miracles refers to as the ego?
Yes,
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. This has been said time and time and time and time again. There's only one truth. There's only one truth. So everything is the same. It's all about, yes, A Course in Miracles. And before A Course in Miracles, there was a Tao Te Ching and the Seth material. So it's all the same thing. It's just keeping it alive, through a different generation so that we never forget our truth. And now we're coming to the point where, okay, this is it. Okay, so now but we're at a point where we've evolved enough. Our body, our mind, our soul, we're ready to assimilate this and to understand this in a whole new way so that we can move to the next step in our evolution. So yeah, A Course in Miracles, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, this material is not new. It's, as she told you in the interview, it's been around. And what I see is that there are people that are the leaders in terms of we're going to get there first. I happen to be chosen as one of those. I didn't exactly choose myself, but I realized, like Sandra, many, many, many years ago, I came here and I said, this is not what life is really supposed to be all about. Everybody's going in this direction of, let's buy this, let's go here, let's acquire all this material. And I realized that there was a connection that was possible between human beings that was completely being ignored. And and for decades, I watched us get to where we are now. And I'm thinking, come and get me, space aliens, because I don't belong here. And I had that feeling when I was 12 years old. But the fact is, I do belong here. I belong here as a person who has awakened to this and transformed so that I can help other people make this transition. And while, people are going to be losing their jobs, I'm going to be there to tell them that there's another way of being. When they're going to be wondering what's going to happen to them, I'm going to tell them, as Sandra has spoken, that everything is shifting into something that is going to have a breakthrough happen for us as humanity. And that's how I feel, that we're going to break through into another reality. And it's a feeling.
I don't, as far as, Michael, you're not an empath, right?
I have empathic feelings, yes, but I don't claim,
Okay.
to feel the way you do. No. And I think it's a sliding scale.
And the reason I mention that is because you had asked me at the beginning, how do we start to feel this, and how do we start to understand our connectedness and all of that kind of thing. And you don't have to be an empath to accept the belief that we are all connected. You don't have to be an empath to understand that what you say to others, you're actually saying to yourself. Do unto others as you do to yourself. That's, one of the oldest rules, golden rules. So we don't have to actually feel that to understand that. But as you start to allow that belief system, or that, it's not a belief system, I call it a befeel system, moving from a belief to a befeel, because beliefs are in your head and befeels are in your heart. So as you start to accept that into your heart and understand that, then you start to open an awareness. And yes, it's very possible you can open yourself up to becoming empathic. And I don't consider myself leading in any way. I just am who I am, and I just live what I live, and that's it. Be the example you want to see in the world, and this information that I have is here to share with people to help. If people come to shift into one, if people come to that, that's because their higher self brings me as an aspect of themselves to come to them to remember who they are. That's all. That's all I am. That's it, and that's all they are to me. They do the same thing for me. So it's a mutual win-win. It's not really student or teacher. It's facilitator, and I'm a messenger of remembrance. That's pretty much it. So it's being a leader. I'm not comfortable with that.
When I use the word lead, I meant that there's going to be people that are at the forefront, at the edge of the envelope, that understand these things, that are going to be there to lead others into where I'm a very poor leader myself. As a matter of fact, I'm a very poor salesman as well. I would love to sell this idea to everybody so that they get it, but I've had to realize that these kinds of talents, for me, have been used wrongly. I mean, to sell people new houses and new cars that they can't afford. And I'm willing to be a leader by putting my own self forward and saying,
putting
this is
foot in the fire first.
To show them that I'm not going to get burned, to show them that there's another way. And I'm finally beginning to be able to point to my life and say, this is happening.
Now, as we were talking in the hall, Michael, you were kind of talking about, that, or putting forth the point of view that current systems, like the financial system, like maybe the money system, the economy, are going to fall apart, and it doesn't sound good when you hear about that. Those kind of things creates a lot of fear in people. And Sandra, I'm just wondering how you deal with that kind of fear. especially if we, you know, we have all these different alternatives, scenarios that are possible as we approach 2012 and beyond or whatever. But, you know, how do you deal with the fear of maybe it won't work out?
Well, I trust in my higher self. First of all, I don't have the fear anymore because I've pretty much eradicated that. But but I understand what you're saying because I did go through that. So what I did is, as you develop your relationship with your higher self, that fear dissipates. You understand things are happening the way they are supposed to, and you may not know what's going to happen 5 years from now. So yes, the structures are crumbling. You're right. If you think about it, that's what creates fear. Okay, that means you're not in your now. Right? So how do I deal with that? I just am in my now and I focus on my moment. And all abundance, if you are in alignment, if you are doing what you are here to do, everything is provided for you. Everything, whether it's money, whether it's connections, whether it's people, everything is provided for you.
Yes, the key is abundance and knowing that abundance. And once you've made this transformation, you get that there's an abundance. And that's the good news that you want to spread to everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That you have been living in absolute fear of lack. And that you think your other human beings aren't going to take care of you. And this has gone through our culture like a disease. And we're all sitting here suffering. Who's going to take care of me, as though I'm separate and alone?
Exactly.
And once that shift is made, it's a whole different ballgame.
Okay.
I just want to add quickly that if you, I forget what I was going to say now.
Come on.
Okay. If you trust in your higher self, okay, and if you do feel that fear, allow yourself to feel that fear, and then ask yourself, your higher self, help me to release this fear. Help me to release this fear. At that moment, when you call that fear out, again, if you call that fear out, that actual moment transmutes, gives you space. That in that space, it is filled with peace.
In other words, we can't solve all the problems ourselves, and somebody is there
There is
to
no
help.
such thing as a problem.
There you go.
Did you learn anything?
I guess I'll have to watch this show all over again.
2012. I love that. 2012.
Yeah, talk to him in 2012
Yeah,
terms
2012,
and then he'll
yeah.
understand.
It's the tone. It's the tone. It's like, about 2012.
Dun, dun.
I love that.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
you, guys.
That's it for the show. Sandra, again, shiftinto1@hotmail.com.
Yes.
Michael, if people want to get in touch with you, you got something you just want, I know you're doing all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
I would love for people to go to my blog at Epiphany Express on Blogspot. So I love reading and writing and hearing from people. So I do have a blog entry on Blogspot called EPIPHANYEXPRESS at blogspot.com.
Yeah, or is
Thanks,
it
Bill.
.blogspot.com? Do you know? I'm just trying to make sure.
How about
But
an
anyway.
email just in case? We could
Yeah,
probably
there you
Google
go.
Epiphany Express.
Well, we'll figure it out.
I
We're
like the
gonna put it on
expialidocious part. When he said EPIPHANY, I'm thinking expialidocious.
Epiphany.
Okay. Well, all right, guys. Thanks a lot. That's it for
Yeah.
Liquid Lunch. Natalie, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll see everybody tomorrow at noon for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com.